Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's end of day. We are all tired now, but I think this is a very interesting topic, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it. So when we talk today about green hydrogen, and it is called the fuel of the future. It could today decarbonize sectors like steel, like cement, like aviation, like shipping, and so many areas where renewables today, of course, we've been talking about renewables throughout the whole day, but these renewables, they cannot do the job by themselves. So the big question is green hydrogen really realistic? Because if you look at the figures today, hydrogen or green hydrogen is less than 1% of the total hydrogen being used because, of course, costs are very high and scaling is difficult. So with our fireside chat today, we'll cut through the hype and we'll ask the very important questions. What's working? What is not working? And what it really takes us to really deliver a global hydrogen economy. And it's a pleasure for you, Elite, to join me on this stage. And you are the Group Tech and Innovation at Gulf Cairo. And let's start about what do you do?
Yeah, good question. It's good to know a bit about our company. So I'm heading for Gulf Cryo Business Development, Technology and Innovation. So our business is not, it's B2B. So not too many people, they know about industrial gases. So we produce oxygen for medical, for hospitals. We capture CO2 to put it in your fizzy drinks like Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola with no more advertising. We oxygen for scuba diving. We have helium, and we have also hydrogen. That is our topic today, and carbon capture. So into many industries, and we are contributing more and more into decarbonizing these industries, either in carbon capture or in hydrogen applications. This is to make it short, long story.
So when we talk today about scaling hydrogen, especially in the Middle East or GCC, where is the bottlenecks mainly? Is it the technology? Is it about regulation? Is it about financing? Is it about demand? Where do you see it? Where's the bottleneck?
Yeah, it's a good question to start from high level and then zoom in into the topic of hydrogen. Maybe many of you are resident in UAE and you've seen during COP28 there was that big momentum related to decarbonization, climate change, fight climate change, and so on. And hydrogen, it's a big topic of that. I can admit that this year, for instance, we've seen a slowdown in hydrogen hype, especially in Europe and other countries in the world for many reasons. It can be economical or geopolitical or whatever. But in our region, the main challenges, it's still, in my opinion, it's high subsidies for fossil-based energy. This is a big roadblock into that. But we will not only mention about that because after also we can see also the opportunities of such economy here that we have into such. And the second one is related to lack of strict environmental regulations, which could push industries to move from fossil fuel energy into alternative clean energy. Another point is related also to hydrogen availability. It's very important in such, either in hydrogen source or in affordable hydrogen product by itself. So there is a dilemma, chicken and egg. Shall we start by increasing our hydrogen production, by investing into hydrogen production, or into scaling up the market? So this is one of the challenges because rarity of hydrogen sources today and affordable cost. And that, if I mention about rarity of hydrogen sources, today there is a demand in some spot projects currently for hydrogen. So due to the rarity of hydrogen sourcing, there is a challenge regarding the transportation of hydrogen. Hydrogen is a tricky molecule. For some of you who might know it or not know it, how to transport hydrogen. It's an energy carrier, but also regarding the energy density about hydrogen. So we need to compress it to transport it. So when we talk about hydrogen source, rarity of hydrogen sources with affordable cost, in our region, there is a challenge regarding the supply chain. So there are long distances between the hydrogen source and the point of use for that, added to cross-border hassles. Because in our region, if I can talk about our company, there are every day our trucks are crossing the borders. So this is another challenge. Also, hydrogen assets are highly expensive and hydrogen infrastructure for that. So these are some of the challenges that we would be having in such.
So these are the challenges, but if we touch on the biggest enablers today that could hopefully accelerate a hydrogen adoption in the region, what would these enablers be?
I think the first thing is if we want to fight or to bring down the cost of hydrogen, we need to create demand. So to create demand, we need to start to promote really hydrogen applications and hydrogen usage, either industries or other parts, even if we start by small steps. And second point, maybe also you've heard about it a lot, but policy making is very important to have. We might have a national framework, a regulatory framework and such, but there are, I always like to use the word for the complexity of regulations is related, it's like a Swiss Army knife syndrome. You have too many moving parts, so it becomes useless. So today there is a complexity in the policies that are there, either on a global level, where if we have in Europe, like Europe Hydrogen Backbone strategy, if we have hydrogen hubs, also strategy in the US, but if we consider how would we qualify what is blue hydrogen or green hydrogen, we will talk about it later. What is the level of low carbon that for the carbon footprint of such hydrogen? Each country has his own language. So one of the things that has to be, in order to have the policies as enabling, is to harmonize all these standards and to speak the same language. Now, on a local level, and we as a company, we are developers, we are technology agnostic, but part of my job is to bring in technologies in the region, to embed it in the region, and so on. One of the challenges that we are facing, but it can really be enabling at the local level, is to have simple, local, seamless processes to implement new technologies. We can bring a technology, we can make a pilot, but if we have applied in one of the countries a dossier for technical approval of the ministry. It's now there since July 2024 and still not yet approved. So this is very important. The big enabler really are these 2 points I mentioned, and many others that, international collaboration, public-private partnerships, and also obviously is to de-risk investment. Today, I've been speaking to some bankers. They talk about every bank, they have their chief sustainability officer, right?
Yeah.
But now if you come and you talk to them about the market, they don't know the market. They know about sustainability, about green finance. This is another enabler where also we need, I'm not saying that we need bankers, right, and investors, but also we need to educate each other and to let them know about what are the real risk about such sustainability project or not. So in order to de-risk an investment, also we need to have in front of us the investors who know about the market and the real potential of hydrogen market or other decarbonizing markets. So this is very important.
So speaking about educating people about hydrogen. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen here, do you know the difference between green and blue hydrogen? By raise of hands? Okay, so this is 20% probably of the room.
I can make it even difficult for them.
What is
What is the difference between pink, yellow, brown, gray?
So far I know only the blue and the green, so now you make it even more complex for me. Let's start with like, what is the difference between these two before I jump into the question?
Yes, no, but just to finish about that joke, maybe you've been hearing about all these rainbow colors about hydrogen. So all of them have disappeared. And now what is remaining, as you mentioned, Hussein, about green and blue, I would prefer talking about non-color coded hydrogen and talk just about low carbon hydrogen. But to make the difference between green and blue, green hydrogen, it's coming from renewables or clean energy source, and it can be also nuclear, because nuclear has been added to that list of solar, wind, and so on. While blue hydrogen, it's the hydrogen coming from hydrocarbons, but we are capturing the CO2.
Okay.
So it is hydrogen from hydrocarbons plus carbon capture.
Okay. So we know that today blue hydrogen maybe does have the momentum, but of course green hydrogen is the long-term goal for many. So how do you see this kind of balance between the two shifting over, let's say, the next decade, especially in the region?
If you asked this question 2-3 years back, nobody wanted even to hear about blue hydrogen, only green hydrogen.
Yeah.
In our region, and at that time, I should be a big fan of green hydrogen, but we have to have our feet on the ground and not the head up in the sky for such. We are, our region, we are connected technologically to North America or to Europe. There, with the big advisors and so on, we are talking about green hydrogen, right? So when they come into our region, the first thing, of course, the final goal is green hydrogen. But if we want to be really pragmatic in things, we need to start with the blue hydrogen, and I will tell you why. If we are talking about, because the balance between green and blue and the role and all of that is really linked to the geography. We don't have to forget that hydrogen molecule, it's a global molecule, but it is really linked to geography. If we are talking about places where there is abundance of solar and wind, where you need for the green hydrogen renewables, like here in the region, I agree. There will be a fast-moving pace for implementing green hydrogen. But we will see why there are some challenges in that regard. But if we see the reality of our region, where the local economies have been relying on hydrocarbons for decades, we cannot make a hard stop and say now we will change into different reality, because hydrogen in our region is abundant, okay, but from hydrocarbons. So if we capture the CO2 and we have that blue hydrogen, it can really play a key transitional role. That's why I'm saying blue hydrogen is not a final goal, but the blue hydrogen, it can be a transitional role in order to move to green hydrogen. How? By implementing blue hydrogen, it is at lower cost, correct? So we can start with the infrastructure. We can start by building that transitional hydrogen economy by using existing infrastructure, even for natural gas, into that. And then we will go and we will make the red carpet ready for the green hydrogen. If you compare also how the solar and renewables 10 years back, nobody can imagine that solar, we can have 2 million square meters of solar that we have here in Maktoum. For such, in 1 decade, the price of solar has been divided by 10. Mm-hmm. And hydrogen, it will follow. And we agree, hydrogen, it will not be the magic stick, but let's create their own space of hydrogen and take benefit of the hydrogen. Now, why the green hydrogen is not, we have here solar and we have wind, why it's not immediately, can be immediately implemented? Because still, the hydrogen cost for producing the hydrogen is still high. The OEMs, which are the manufacturer of electrolyzer and others, today they don't have the capabilities to, because we as a company, if we want to order one hydrogen electrolyzer, we need to wait 12 months.
Wow.
So there is a bottleneck of manufacturers. This is one side. The second side is if the hydrogen is highly energy intense, so we would need millions of square meters if we want to have the green hydrogen, to have land ready, to install solar, and to have that clean energy for hydrogen. So this is another bottleneck. And one more thing. Today, when I say that hydrogen is abundant, yes, but 95% is coming from fossil fuel today. So we cannot jump from 95% from fossil fuel available hydrogen to 100% of green hydrogen renewable. So that's why really we have to go into that transitional period for such.
I mean, fantastic. I don't know if anyone here in the audience, do you want to challenge Eli's ideas? Can we have the mic here, please? Mic to the first row. Can you bring us a mic?
Yeah, hi, my name is Imad Ilahi. I run Green Business Associates, which is a consulting firm for green companies. There are two things to your comments specifically about the green energy. We need solar energy, and we have put up a lot of infrastructure to build up the solar energy in this region. I have a question, one, which is, does solar energy lead to increase in temperatures in the region? That is one. The second thing is there has to be a certain time frame for the transition of blue hydrogen to green hydrogen. It cannot be an endless process. Since it is convenient, we already have a 90% sourcing from the blue hydrogen. It does not mean that we can continue forever in transition. So there has to be some deadline and a compliance kind of part where we transition. At some point of time, we take a decision, okay, now that's where we shift from blue to green. So is there any process already in place for that in the region?
Yes, for your first question, I'm not a renewable energy expert, but for me, I don't think it will contribute. I don't know if I understood your question, if it will contribute in rising temperature, you mean? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
I have read it in a couple of places that it leads to increase in temperatures. Apart from the air conditioning, which also have the greenhouse gases and all that.
Yeah.
Air conditioning
and
this
one to
there's
another
a second,
discussion.
yeah, there's a second.
So let's focus
Yes.
on the hydrogen
So not the
part
important
of it.
question. The second part is more important, the transition from blue to
Yes,
green.
I agree with you. Of course, there should be timeline for that. Regarding the hydrogen roadmap for UAE, they are putting like final goal that in 2030 we will have 50% of our, let's say, energy into renewable and so on. But I agree, there should be a timeline for that. And as I mentioned, it is a transitional, it's not a final goal. But today, as mentioned by Hussein at the beginning, there are some bottleneck, and we need to be realistic how to get out of that statu quo and to make things forward. So either we have to go stay in our vicious circle and say green hydrogen, or we need to adapt. And while waiting in that transition period, for me, I think maybe 5 to 10 years, there will be a big, faster move toward green hydrogen because technology will be more performing, less cost for the hydrogen electrolyzers, no more bottleneck of OEM for manufacturing those electrolyzers. And we can see today, if we see China, they have now more than 50% of alkaline electrolyzers worldwide are produced in China. With the pricing, I'm not promoting about China, no, but this is a realistic part. Alkaline electrolyzers in China are 50% cheaper, with also some challenges related maybe for some performance. I'm not an expert in electrolyzers. into more about the hydrogen value chain. But it can be somewhere, each of these geographies could contribute into the next decade in order to reach that green hydrogen economy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Hi, Faisal from Ras Al Khaimah Economic Zone. Just wanted to ask our guest, Ellie, right? Yeah. I've seen some articles about cars that are powered by hydrogen in the UAE, and I'm not sure it would be like there are some myths that hydrogen actually leads to explosion mostly of the cars. So has the UAE implemented something, or the technology that is more safe and more reliable to the environment, to reduce the petrol waste, the petrol consumption, CO2, carbon dioxide? Where do you see that will take us in the next 10 years?
Okay, I think you have to put the scientific hat on if it's hydrogen leading to explosions.
No, I appreciate, thank you for the question.
It's a very important one.
Yeah, but there are, I was following the sequence of the question. There are maybe 3-4 questions in one question.
Wow.
because you mentioned first about the mobility and about hydrogen safety.
Yeah.
For that, you know that the leading companies, Toyota, Hyundai, Volkswagen, and all these companies, they have run many tests in that regard. If I had my speaking session, I would show you some videos where it's comparing diesel to hydrogen cars. And actually, hydrogen cars is much safer than diesel cars. Because hydrogen is very light, and if there is a hydrogen leak, in 3 seconds, the hydrogen is diluted in the air. Hydrogen, it is, I don't know how many times lighter than the air, so it will go up. And it's a gas. If you take diesel, it's liquid. So if it gets fire, and that liquid is attacked to the body of the car, all the car is gone. So I don't want to make this session into a training session about that, but with no doubt, hydrogen is much safer than current fueling station. But of course, because still it is at this beginning, there are a lot of maybe educating people to know about hydrogen and about its safety handling and so on. Because currently in our company, we are transporting hydrogen to NEOM from UAE, so thousands of kilometers for such. Your other question?
I forgot about it. Sorry.
But mainly it was mobility and this transition into
and what UAE they are doing to promote safety. Yeah. Today, to register hydrogen car, I think it's still all are piloting projects. Because based on our experience, for instance, we are bringing into the region, talking about transition. We are bringing into the region now a transitional solution for mobility where you can blend hydrogen with diesel from Canada. But still all of these are on a pilot phase.
Okay, can you tell us more about these pilot projects that you have in terms of hydrogen and so far it's in the pilot phase, right?
Yes.
How is it going? What's next?
Technology is proven, it's wonderful. But once again, talking about enablers, about roadblock, the price of diesel, when you go and you say, let's replace diesel with hydrogen, it's a joke today because in our region, diesel is 6 times cheaper than hydrogen.
Sure.
So if we say that 1 kilogram of hydrogen, even if you take the lower cost of hydrogen, I don't know, the best case scenario, 20 euros, 25 euros per kilogram, and 1 kilogram can take you 100 kilometers. Who would take money out of his pocket to make a travel to Abu Dhabi and spend 30 euros, which is about 130 dirham, just to make one way?
So true.
In such, unless we want to burn money or to make money laundry, as mentioned the other day. So, but things will happen, but it's good because we are in contact with many companies here who have some pilot projects, and it is there, but it needs some time to go through that. I'm talking about the mobility side. Yeah.
All right. Any more questions here? Oh, we have a lot of them. Okay.
Good.
Let's just bring the mic here, please.
Hi, I'm Sankalp. This side.
Yeah, sorry.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask, you would have been in touch with a lot of pilot projects around different industries, and you mentioned there's a risk of offtake and the demand side being one of the constraints in the picking up of green hydrogen. Where do you see the green shoots? Is it in terms of mobility or heating, in terms of maybe blast furnaces, where there are hard to abate sectors, or probably grid level storage solutions? Are there any areas that you see would pick up first and would follow they would be pioneers to adapt
And
low
lead
carbon?
the way. Yeah.
Good question, because even in our company, when I have put in place the hydrogen strategy, I have to put some quick wins or at least something where we are not dreaming. So for instance, in our company, we have put mobility and off-grid clean power. Why? Because these type of solutions are already, there are some willingness to deploy somewhere, somehow. It is already a proven, ready-to-market technology. And at the same time, at the CapEx level, we are talking also about much smaller amount of hydrogen than when you talk about 200 megawatt electrolyzer to export green ammonia and so on. And you've seen that in our region, unfortunately, last year, a lot of big multi-billion-dollar projects either have been canceled or overrunning on budget, or they don't have even offtake agreements. And you know what I'm talking about. There's some projects that I don't want to mention here to be politically correct as well, because it's not my project, so I'm not allowed to give my opinion on a stage for such. So these are the two main parts. Of course, industries are there. We are getting some inquiries for hydrogen, let's say to blend in gas turbines, okay, or in steel industry, or in cement. But there, you require a huge amount of hydrogen. And if I talk about unit price of hydrogen, which is still not affordable, it's still not there. It's still not there. And usually the ones who want to invest in such a project, our company, we are not into the multi-billion dollar project yet. But we're talking about the global partnership and these things. We can see that Emirates Steel, we can see EGA, since they are under the CBAM, which is, cross-border adjustment mechanism, they have to be prepared for such. So they are starting. It's starting somewhere, somehow.
Okay, I think we had. Okay, Michael, you please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Ahmed Suleiman. Now I'm seeing that your title is the World Green Economy. So, like this type of conference, why we are not inviting all the banks, Ministry of Economy to help encouraging the green economy, and also to educate the banks how to encouraging of investing in green and sustainability.
This conference is all about bringing all these people together.
Yeah.
But our topic here is just about focusing on hydrogen.
Yeah. Okay. Number two.
Yeah.
Number two, it is what they have done to, like regulation of hydrogen and to help the hydrogen companies. How, like in Japan right now, if you are in green.
It's just our time is up. If you can just ask the question directly, because we were just our time is up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Like what they have done to encourage the company that are producing hydrogen in UAE or Middle East, that to grow up the hydrogen business. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the question, and I'll make it short. Obviously, I repeat again, it's about policies, okay, and how to enforce. This is very important to enforce. And there is this carrot and stick, correct? So either the stick with the carbon tax or with the carrot with the incentives. And without that, things cannot move.
Ali, thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation. There's
Thank you.
a lot
Thank you.
to learn from you on hydrogen and this transition. And thank you for joining us on this conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you.